Don't take me, little man. Move, get back.
Come on, now.
Get back. Move, bro. Move, get back. Get back. No, I'm not. Get back. Please move from my car, bro. Move, little man. Please move.
Oh, you on that?
Move, little man. Move. Get my door, please. Get my door.
In the early hours of June 11, 2025, a 32-year-old woman was shot dead for revealing her boyfriend's secret on social media.
Some women, me, I'm putting myself in that category, make it okay for niggas not to be
At 11:47 a.m., police would receive a panicked 911 call. On the other end of the line was a juvenile, terrified, sobbing, reporting that his mother had just been shot. When investigators rushed to the home on State Road 715, the scene inside was nothing short of horrifying. Lying on her bed was the woman's lifeless body, riddled with 12 gunshot wounds. Worst of all, surrounding her were children, screaming in terror after witnessing the brutal moment their mother's life was stolen in front of them. As police pieced together the puzzle, the truth sent shivers through the community. The killer wasn't a stranger, it was her own boyfriend. He had shot her dead for daring to reveal his secrets on social media. But what investigators would soon uncover was even more chilling. This wasn't the first time he had turned violent. In fact, these stories are closely similar to the story I covered last weekend. Do you remember the case of a devoted wife who was brutally killed by her husband after revealing their secret on Facebook?
You let me know you really don't give a fuck about me. I pray that the good Lord forgives me and he sent me into heaven. But this is too much for me on this earth. I'm stressing, I'm not sleeping, my mind is everywhere, and this has really taken a toll on me.
If you have not watched it, I will leave the link at the end of this video. Now, let's look at the life and death of Shantae Butts.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
Born in West Palm Beach, Florida in the early 1990s, Shantae Letitia Butts, lovingly called Shay, grew up in South Florida. Her childhood was marked by instability.
So I'm 30, finna be 31, and I was adopted as a child. In between adopted and foster, I don't think people know this, is when you adopted, you belong in that family. So therefore, the state can't come and take you out of that household. Now, if you fostered, you could just get taken at any moment whenever the person chooses to get a child. Like if they want a child and they want you, they could just take you.
She had been adopted and spoke openly about how that experience shaped her outlook on family and love. For Shantae, family meant everything. She wanted to give her children what she never fully had herself: stability, protection, and unconditional love. As an adult, she built her entire world around her children. Social media posts showed her constantly attending school events. Cheering from the sidelines and making time for family outings despite her hectic schedule. Her eldest son, in particular, often appeared right by her side, stepping into a role of responsibility when she couldn't be in two places at once. And how did she manage all of this? Through relentless hard work. Shantae wore more hats than most people could imagine. She was a home health aide, a physically and emotionally draining job that demanded compassion and endurance. But she didn't stop there. She also ran a cleaning business called Polished by Shay, where she transformed homes and built a reputation for her skill and professionalism. On top of that, she ran a decor business, creating unique floral arrangements with liquor bottles and money bouquets. Not only that, she was also an aspiring content creator.
So I honestly feel like I don't get paid enough to babysit. I don't give a if they is my own kids. Pay me. I gotta miss work to take care of the kids. Pay me. I gotta miss an event to be with my kids. Pay me. Period.
On her social media, Shantae showcased her humor, her struggles, and her survival story. She often referred to herself as a comedian, turning her pain into punchlines and her stress into relatable skits.
Just ask y'all a question. When y'all come up to me and tell me about my nigga cheating, do you really think I be hurt? He cheat, I cheat, we cheat, the motherfucking killer, bitch.
Her All Deadbeat Daddy series, for example, was raw, funny, and brutally honest about absentee fathers.
Some women, me, I'm putting myself in that category, make it okay for niggas not to be just being in our relationship because we so happy that somebody love us. But we can just love ourselves, if that makes sense. Take care of the household, do what we gotta do, because in reality, we just not feeling like we housing a nigga. But in reality, we housing a nigga. And from the outside looking in, it looked like he's helping or contributing because your life is still going on the same way.
Her online presence wasn't just entertainment, it was therapy, a way of processing her life's chaos while also empowering others who related to her experiences. But beyond the jobs, the hustles, and the content creation, Shantae's true role was simple yet profound. She was a mother first. Every hustle was for them, every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every calculated move was for her children's future. She wanted to make sure they had what she never did. That was until she crossed paths with a man who would change the trajectory of her life forever. 46-year-old Little Mac Williams, her ex-boyfriend and the father of her youngest children. During her relationship with Little, Shantae began to realize that being with him wasn't what she wanted anymore. The relationship had brought more disappointment than joy. After enduring enough letdowns, she made the difficult decision to let go of Little Mac and move forward with her life. She even opened her heart to a new relationship, hoping for a fresh start. But leaving Little Mac behind wouldn't be so simple. He wasn't ready to let her go, and that refusal to accept the end of their relationship would soon spiral into something far darker. What Shantae didn't know was that Little Mac was a man with a violent past and a history of terrorizing women. What made Shantae's story so devastating was that she saw it coming. She knew the danger she was in. She warned authorities again and again, and yet nothing stopped him. Little Mac had a long record of domestic violence and criminal behavior that stretched back years. In 2014, he was arrested after another ex-girlfriend accused him of sexual battery. Police found her with visible injuries, swelling, bruises, and a massive hematoma on her forehead. Little Mac was charged with felony battery, domestic battery by strangulation, and false imprisonment. But instead of facing years in prison, he served just 36 days in jail. But that didn't stop him. In 2018, another woman reported that Williams wouldn't stop showing up to her house, refusing to leave and tampering with her security cameras. He was arrested again, but convicted only of trespassing. His punishment? 59 days in jail. But his violence would only escalate further. By 2023, he struck a woman in the head with an object during a dispute, sending her to the hospital. Once again, he was arrested but only served 2 days behind bars. It was a disturbing pattern: violence, arrest, a slap on the wrist, and immediate release. But by 2024, Shantae Butts had become his next target. In July 2024, she reported that Williams forced his way into her home, put her in a chokehold, and kicked her multiple times. She nearly lost consciousness. When she tried to call 911, he snatched her phone and fled. Deputies arrested him and charged him with multiple felonies, including domestic battery by strangulation and witness tampering. He pled guilty, but instead of years in prison, he was sentenced to just 157 days in jail and given a no-contact order. But there was one problem: no one could make him follow it. By October 2024, Shantae was calling police again. Little Mac was stalking her, calling her nonstop and banging on her front door. He was arrested again for violating the no-contact order, but in November 2024, it escalated further. He broke into her house, assaulted her, and stole her phone. Prosecutors reduced the charge from felony domestic battery to a misdemeanor. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 66 days in jail. Despite all of these arrests and convictions, Little Mac was still free, still violent, and still determined to control Shantae. And it was only a matter of time before his threats turned deadly.
Some women, me, I'm putting myself in that category, make it okay for niggas not to be shit.
While Shantae enjoyed creating her viral series, All Deadbeat Daddy, Little Mac was having none of it. To her followers, it was just entertainment, a raw, unfiltered look into her frustrations with absent fathers. But to Little Mac, it felt personal. He believed she was putting his business out for the world to see, painting him in a humiliating light. What Shantae saw as self-expression, Little Mac saw as a direct attack, fueling resentment that would only grow worse with time. By July 1st, 2025, things had reached a breaking point. Little Mac showed up at Shantae's workplace.
Please leave. I am not okay with this. Please leave my job. I have to go.
Little did she know, the story was far from over. On July 5th, 2025, deputies were called once again to Shantae's home in Belle Glade, Florida. She told them that Little Mac had shown up outside her house, banging on windows, screaming for her, and taunting her about a missing firearm. He wouldn't leave. She told deputies flatly that she believed he was going to kill her. So she took a decision. She filed a restraining order against Little Mac for stalking and harassment. But that same night, she would see something horrifying. Shantae had checked her doorbell camera feed and saw Little Mac was back again, pacing outside her home, tampering with her camera. He wasn't just harassing her anymore, he was hunting her. Right at that moment, Shantae fled to a hotel in nearby Clewiston, desperate for a night of safety. But even there, she couldn't shake the fear that he would track her down. She posted on social media about her ordeal, about how the system wasn't protecting her, and she was right, because only days later, her nightmare came true. On July 11th, 2025 at 11:47 p.m., Shantae's oldest son dialed 911. His voice was panicked. His mother's ex-boyfriend had broken into their home through a window. The boy told the dispatcher that the man was asking, "Where's your mother?" Then came silence. Then, his voice cracked as he cried out. His mother had been shot. Deputies rushed to the home on State Road 715 in Belle Glade. Inside, they found chaos, children screaming, Shantae lying unresponsive on her bed with 12 gunshot wounds. Unfortunately, she wouldn't make it, as she was declared dead at 11:58 p.m. Her boyfriend, who had been in the house that night, was also shot in the chest but miraculously survived. But there was one chilling problem. All of Shantae's 6 children were inside that home as the gunfire erupted. Some hid, some screamed. Her oldest tried to protect his younger siblings, even as he witnessed his mother gasping for breath, while Little Mac strangled her before pulling the trigger. The children will never forget what they saw that night. But outside, the scene was almost surreal. There was no high-speed chase, no shootout, no dramatic standoff. Instead, deputies found Little Mac lying in the street, hands behind his back, waiting to be arrested. The same man who had tormented Shantae for years surrendered like a coward after ending her life. After years of evading true accountability, he finally allowed himself to be taken into custody. When questioned, Little Mac denied everything. He claimed he didn't know who the other man in the house was, insisted he never fired the gun, and said he had no idea where it was, even though Shantae had recently reported that he stole her firearm. But investigators were home. They found evidence of a brutal fight, and most damning of all, they had the testimony of Shantae's children who watched in horror as he murdered their mother. It was only after examining the evidence that the horrifying truth emerged. Every step of this crime had been predictable. Every warning sign had been documented, and still, nothing had been done to stop it. To understand how this happened, detectives went back through Little Mac's records. What they found painted a picture of a violent repeat offender who should have been behind bars years earlier. Shantae had warned them all. She told deputies, she told the courts, and she told her friends and family that he was going to kill her. She even fled her own home days before her death, knowing he was circling her like a predator. And still, the system did not protect her. News of Shantae's murder devastated Belle Glade. Neighbors described her as a hardworking single mother who did everything she could for her children. Now, the children are left without their mother. Her oldest son, who called 911 that night, will forever carry the trauma of describing the man who murdered his mom to the community. It was both a relief and an outrage. Relief that he was finally off the streets. Outrage that it took Shantae's death for it to happen. This was not just the story of one man's violence. It was the story of a system that consistently downplayed domestic abuse until it ended in murder.
Despite being found guilty of choking Shantae Butts in July of last year, court records show the most jail time Little Mac Williams served was 157 days, with each case after that carrying less time in jail.
Little had a documented history of strangulation, stalking, breaking into homes, and threatening women's lives. Yet time and time again, prosecutors reduced charges, judges handed out slaps on the wrist, and jail sentences lasted days instead of years, until July 11, 2025, when those failures all converged into tragedy. But justice would not come easily, and the battle was far from over. Because now, Little Mac Williams sits in a county jail in Palm Beach County and faces charges of first-degree murder with a firearm, attempted murder, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Prosecutors announced that they would pursue the maximum penalty, pointing to his repeat offender status and the brutality of the crime.
The focus of the state attorney's office is to go after violent offenders and habitual offenders. And in domestic violence, that's no different.
The charges meant Williams could face life without parole or even the death penalty. But the community is left asking, why did it take Shantae's death for the system to take him seriously? A memorial was held for 32-year-old Shantae Butts in Palm Beach County. The ceremony drew family, friends, neighbors, and even strangers who had followed her story online. Her children sat in the front row, clutching each other for comfort. Her oldest son, the same boy who had called 911, stood tall but looked hollowed out. His childhood stolen in a single night. The eulogies painted the picture of a woman who was more than her death. She was a hustler, a creator, a mother who gave everything to her children. Her best friend described her as the type of woman who made magic out of struggle. Shantae's family called for accountability, not just for Little Mac, but for the prosecutors and judges who had let him slip through the cracks. For Belle Glade, this was not just another crime. It was a brutal reminder of how domestic violence often ends not with intervention, but with tragedy. Soon enough, local activists began organizing vigils, demanding stronger enforcement of restraining orders, harsher sentences for repeat offenders, and more resources for women trying to escape abuse.
If law enforcement's being called, it's something's, going on. There's something major that's happened. The homicide rate is high, especially when someone's trying to leave that abusive situation. That's when they're at the highest risk.
News outlets across the country began covering Shantae's story.
Survivors of domestic violence are told to speak up, document everything. But for one Belle Glade mother, even that wasn't enough. Tonight, we're uncovering how her death fits into a larger deadly pattern and why advocates say the system is still falling short.
Highlighting how she had done everything survivors are told to do. She left. She filed reports. She pressed charges. She installed cameras. She documented every incident. And still, it wasn't enough. Advocates pointed out that restraining orders are often treated as suggestions rather than enforceable protections. Judges routinely reduce felony charges to misdemeanors. And women are frequently told to be strong, without the system providing the protection that strength deserves. Experts warned that Shantae's case was not an outlier. In fact, strangulation, something Little Mac had done to her before, is one of the strongest predictors of eventual homicide in domestic violence cases. Yet courts repeatedly minimized it. It's time to demand systemic change. Domestic violence should not be treated as a minor offense. Strangulation should not lead to just mere weeks in jail. And restraining orders should not be empty promises. The truth is, Shantae deserved protection. She deserved safety. She deserved to watch her children grow up. Instead, she was reduced to another statistic. But her story is not just one of tragedy, it is also one of resilience, of a woman who fought until the very end, and of a community determined to turn her pain into change. Rest in power, Shantae. What do you think about this? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.